Okay, so welcome to another deep dive. Today, we are going all in on a topic I think it's safe to say we are all very curious about
Yeah,
um,
absolutely.
first-time sex.
Yeah, yeah.
And I know our listeners are really interested in learning more about, you know, not just the mechanics of it,
Right.
but the emotional side of things and kind of all of the cultural baggage
Yeah, the history
that
cut.
comes with the
Inner
history.
context.
So
Yeah.
to give everyone like a really well-rounded perspective, we have pulled from a bunch of different sources.
Mm-hmm.
We've got some historical accounts,
Yes.
some sociological studies,
Yeah.
even some pop culture analysis thrown in there.
Very important.
Just spice things up a little bit.
Yes, very much so.
Um, and I think one of the most interesting things for me is that,
Yeah.
this is something that's so intensely personal,
Yeah.
but it really is like a universal
Human experience.
Siberius. Yeah. And it's
It's fascinating.
fascinating how it's shaped by the world around us.
By the world around us, yeah.
Right?
Yes.
It's like, for example, even the idea of like being ready for sex,
Oh, yeah.
like
Hugely variable.
doesn't mean the same thing everywhere.
No.
If we think back to like
Yeah.
ancient Sparta,
Right.
young men were expected to have sex with older warriors as like part of their training.
That was that was part of their, like, becoming a man.
Yeah. Which is wild.
Wild. It's so different from, like,
Yeah.
modern Western societies where we're all about, like,
Individual
individual choice. And, like, emotional readiness.
Yeah.
So, like, when we're talking about readiness,
Mhm.
what does that actually mean to people listening? Like, for you, is it about
Yeah.
feeling emotionally secure? Is it about understanding the physical stuff?
Right.
Or is it about, like, navigating these societal pressures?
Yeah.
that are
You
all
kind of
trying to-
feel comfortable with the actual act, like the intimacy of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. The physical closeness. Are you prepared for the potential consequences? Like,
I mean, both personally and socially.
that's a whole other can of worms.
Yeah, it's a lot to unpack.
Yeah. And speaking of unpacking,
Yes.
our sources really emphasize the importance of enthusiastic consent.
Yes.
And it's not just about hearing the word yes.
No.
It's really about
It's about wanting it.
a genuine
Yeah. Desiring.
desire. Yeah.
Wow.
And like a comfort level with everything that's going on.
Right, and knowing that you can change your mind
Yeah.
at any point.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And this kind of ties into,
It does.
I think, a really fascinating
Yeah,
evolution
absolutely.
of how we think about consent.
Yeah.
Because these ideas, they weren't always so nuanced.
No, they weren't. And like,
If you think back to like
oh,
the Victorian era,
yeah, oh my gosh.
like you couldn't even talk about sex.
No.
It was so taboo.
Absolutely. And then
But then we fast forward
the movements like Me Too.
to We Too, yeah, which is
which has really,
really changed things.
yeah, changed the whole conversation.
Putting agency and clear communication
Front and center.
front and center.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's interesting to see how
Yeah.
like societal norms have really impacted our understanding of consent.
Absolutely.
Like, how do you think these historical shifts have like changed
Yeah.
how you think about it?
I mean, I think for me, it's made me realize how much progress we've made
Yeah.
in some ways, and how
Yeah.
the conversation has opened up, but also how much work
Yeah.
we still have to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And speaking of changes,
Yes.
let's talk about
Yeah.
expectations versus reality.
Oh, yeah.
Because
This is a big one.
so many movies and TV shows,
They paint a very specific picture.
they really paint this picture of first-time sex as
Yeah.
this magical,
Magical.
earth-shattering event.
Yeah.
And I think
it's not always like that.
it sets people up for a lot of anxiety.
Right. And I think it's important to remember that everyone's experience is unique.
Absolutely.
And movies rarely show
No.
the awkward fumbles of like figuring out positions
No.
or the fact that first time sex might not be mind blowing. It's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
If things don't go perfectly.
Yeah, it's not always going to be like
No.
a Nicholas Sparks movie.
No. I think the key is
Yeah.
open communication with your partner
Yes.
and just focusing on what feels good for both of you.
Yes.
That's the most important thing.
Totally. And then
Yeah.
you've got like
You got
the whole emotional roller coaster.
Oh, the emotional
That comes with it.
landscape, yes.
Our sources talk about this
Yeah.
mix of excitement and fear and
Right,
vulnerability.
sometimes disappointment.
And yeah, even sometimes disappointment. So
It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a complex interplay of hormones and societal expectations and personal values.
Right.
And, all of those things kind of come together
Yeah.
to create this really unique experience.
Yeah, it's so interesting to think about how
Yeah.
much our views on this have like shifted over time.
Oh, absolutely.
From taboo,
It used to be
talking points.
like all these hushed whispers and secrets.
Yes.
And now we're having these more open conversations about
sex ed programs. We have open dialogues about pleasure and consent.
And I think a lot of that is thanks to,
Yeah.
things like sex education,
Yeah.
access to information.
Access to
internet.
Yeah.
It's been
The
huge.
internet has been huge
Yes.
for this.
Interesting.
So I'm curious for you, like,
Yeah.
how has
Or
access to information
information and open discussions.
and being able to have open conversations
Yeah.
shaped how you feel about this whole topic?
I think it's helped me to be more informed.
Yeah.
And to feel more empowered in my own choices.
Absolutely.
And I think that's really important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing to think about
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
we've gone from a society where
Where sex was
it was just shrouded in secrecy
shrouded in secrecy.
to one where we can actually
We can talk about it.
talk about it
Yeah, we can.
and learn about it.
learn about it. And
It's pretty cool.
it's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a testament to the power of education and advocacy,
Mhm.
in breaking down stigma.
Totally.
Yeah.
So we've covered a lot of ground today.
We have.
We've talked about everything from like
Cultural variations,
cultural variations,
to consent, to expectations, to emotion,
consent to expectations, to the emotional side of
the
things.
whole landscape.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
But I think
It's all really important.
as we continue to evolve, as a society,
Yeah. As we,
a really crucial question emerges.
how can we further cultivate
To evolve, yeah.
these open and honest conversations about sex,
Mm-hmm.
free from shame and judgment?
Yeah, how do we
So-
send it
That's
easier
really
for
true.
people to talk about this?
And to feel comfortable talking about it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Well, I think
Yeah.
that's a
That's something to think about.
great question
It is.
to leave everyone with.
It is.
And I hope that this deep dive has,
Yeah.
given everyone a new
perspective on this really multifaceted experience
multifaceted experience.
and
that's-
encouraged you to explore
explore it further.
it further.
Yeah,
We'll,
down.
as always,
Yeah,
knowledge is power,
knowledge is power,
especially when you're navigating something as
especially with this.
significant as this.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, thanks for joining us for another deep dive.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
We'll see you next time.
See you next time.
Bye.